Hey, it's Soul. It's, what day is it? August 17th, 2018. This is Warcraft Weekly, and today's episode is brought to you by the Train Station Paladin. He's a streamer. He does mythic raids. He didn't ask for an endorsement, but he gets one anyway. Today we have Bob on site in the deep hellfire of, wait, where is that?
A way better place than where you wanted me to go.
I guess, but that looks awesome. Where is that?
This fine location is just off the coast of Kulturas, in the Stormsong Valley zone. I forget exactly where it is, but hey look, they're dancing underwater, and nobody's dead.
Well, that's a really impressive location. Yeah, go ahead and hang out there for a little bit.
Yeah, like I really need your permission.
So today's weekly, like many other weeklies have been lately, it's gonna be a little bit special, a little bit light on the news, mostly because of that one thing. The thing where
the expansion launched.
On August 13th or 14th or 15th, depending on the state of your realm, World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth had launched worldwide. I'm gonna get to the fun and shenanigans of that little thing, but first there is a little bit of news to cover. Gamescom is gonna go down August 21st, and Blizzard, of course, is gonna be showing up. The little bit of relevance is that finally, Blizzard is going to release the final Warbringers cinematic starring Queen Azshara. Now, I've griped about this ever since like the week after Warbringers Sylvanas came out, and I know that I'm being nitpicky, I'm being a whiner.
Yeah.
Shut up. Despite me feeling like it's a little bit peculiar that they've delayed this final Warbringers cinematic, it's not a big deal. There's been a lot that's been going down for the past couple weeks that would otherwise take away the thunder from Queen Azshara. And I'm talking about that new star of the show right over there. The controversy surrounding Sylvanas and the burning whatever, not a big deal.
Oh my god, it's Zappy Boy. Internet, we did it. We made him into an actual character.
No, that's done and over with. Bonsamdi, the Loa of Death, is, at least for the moment, the next star of the show. And, well, next week with the final Warbringer thing coming, well, he's gonna get pushed off too. It kind of sucks. Blizzard, come here, talk to me. Why you gotta make so many freaking compelling characters and story developments that keep pushing our attention from one thing to another? Why don't you just let things simmer for a little bit, How about you just let us stay stagnant after, I don't know, the Wrathgate for like months and months and months, and then follow it up with, with whatever it is. It's like you guys keep doing things to keep us entertained, So I'm very much looking forward to Gamescom and the final Warbringer cinematic, and to be demonetized again. So tune in next week, folks. As soon as I literally run out of world quests to do, that's gonna mean for the next couple of hours, I'll be able to cover this cinematic and give my analysis and breakdown. As a reminder, you can catch me on most weekday mornings over on Twitch TV/SoulSoBreezy. You can listen to the ambient sounds of WoW, permeated by my incessant rambling about the game that we all love. And you can follow me on Twitter @SoulSoBreezy. Find out when I'm participating, or join me as I communicate with the WoW community. For those of you who don't have the inclination, the will, or the money to go to Gamescom 2018, well, there's still
BlizzCon,
another convention that you might not be able to afford going to, but oh well. The third and final round of ticket sales are going to be going down tomorrow at 10 o'clock Pacific time. By the time you see this, it might already be a little bit too late. So I'd like to take a moment to call upon you, the folks at home, at work, on the toilet. So I require from you a moment of faith in the form of a comment.
Likes equal prayers.
Yes. In a comment below, please type in the following: Soul, you better get them tickets. And that's it. No contest, no nothing, just a little bit of faith.
Please, Blizzard gods, please give me the strength.
I do have tickets for myself and my wife, but I do want to make sure that the rest of my crew and my guild, that they get in too. So regardless of what happens, stay tuned. I'm going to do coverage and reactions and other stuff, which is mostly going to be involving like Diablo. Come on, Diablo, come through with something awesome aside from being on the Switch. All right, so like I said, there was a little event that happened just the other day called the Battle for Azeroth launch. Yeah. So today, as a reminder to you and mostly to myself, it's Friday. Many things have happened since Monday afternoon. As some of you may know, I streamed the entire debacle and have the chat log to prove it. But come along, folks, gather around. Except for Bob, you can still chill in the water bar over there. It's a really awesome place, I have to say.
Thank you, Soul. I live here now.
You live here. You just decided that. Okay, there we go. Our adventures in Kulturas and Zandalar started a little bit before that. I decided to do a walkabout from Orgrimmar all the way down to Silithus. I don't want to be one of the folks that's just kind of sitting there throwing down AoEs and possibly disconnecting each other while waiting for this thing to go down. So I walked and walked and walked, and one of my guildmates joined me, and then another one joined me, and then I got lost, and then the expansion launched, and I was like, oh crap, so we all broke group and suddenly flew away, and I never saw them again. Everybody's experience in the launch of this expansion has been unique. The one that we haven't seen yet is yours, and I'm talking about the people who just haven't bothered starting yet because, y'all can't be troubled, and you folks that are in fact just getting started, y'all can do what you want. And as far as I'm concerned, or at least as far as I've observed, you're probably going to run into very few, if any, problems. Cool. Okay, that's a stupid effect. But apart from you, there are many of us who wanted to jump right in the first hour, the first day of the expansion. And I'm going to overgeneralize, but I'm going to describe the 3 experiences that we players had in the first couple of hours, first day of the expansion. But let me give this one opinion first. I think this launch, the Battle for Azeroth, is the second most successful launch in WoW launch history, the first being Legion. So the first I'm going to describe is the experience that I'm going to argue that most players have had, which is good, smooth, very few problems. I know this to be true because I'm one of them. I streamed pretty much the entire experience from 110 to 120, with all the little bits of hiccups and bugs from having a hard time picking up that potion of death on the Horde side, a couple of quest flubs here and there, then, well, that's about it. I was just playing the game, soloing my way to victory. But not before, of course, picking up the best mount ever. I don't care what you gotta say, it's my gold, and it was gold well spent. For the record, it took me about 15, 16 or so hours to get to max level. This was between little breaks and lunches that I took. I did have one disconnect event like so many, like many players had experienced. That held me back for another, I think, 30, 45 minutes before I can get back in. But after one realm restart and an hour and a half nap, I woke back up, finished everything off, and ta-da! Max level. And apart from a flight point issue in the war campaign, that's it. That's been the experience, along with like gearing up and doing all that stuff.
The second experience might be what many of you are familiar with. You may have heard about some of these issues on Twitter. Maybe your guildmates were complaining about it and wouldn't shut the hell up. Maybe you heard about it and laughed at their misfortune, like Soul did.
Hey. Wait. Why am I on camera?
I thought you had some comments said.
No. So the experience, Jesus, the experience that people were having was a little haphazard, I guess. I'm talking about bugs from the minor to the severe that were hampering gameplay, and otherwise were just making people have a kind of a bad time. And I'm talking about massive lag that was preventing some of the scenarios from getting started. I'm talking about people receiving their Heart of Azeroth not from this glorious cutscene when we're in the heart of the planet, but, in a mailbox from a game master. Hey, thanks, dude. I'm thinking of people falling off the world as soon as they land on a flight point. I'm talking about you folks that were in the game, but at the same time were running into all sorts of different problems. The last crowd of reactions, okay, fine.
The last set of people who experienced in the launch might not be the most numerous of them all, but they certainly were the loudest, and for good reason. They didn't get to play at all.
Damn, dude, intense.
Well, I was one of them.
Well, you got into the alpha before me, so suck it.
The sky is falling.
So many servers are down and still aren't up.
Thank you for streaming so we can still experience the first day. I'm still 110. Haven't played much yet.
Guild Soul server is still down, so I'm going to crash for tonight. Guild to 120.
Sure, you can go outside, play some basketball, or you can stay inside and do something important for the world of Warcraft. Kind of surprised they're having these issues after 8.0 Still launch. Cannot log in and Area 52 is offline, open parentheses. This launch sucks. Won't even get to play tonight. Don't log out, bro. You might not be able to get back on.
Server is still down.
It won't let me in either.
This is what has been happening to me for hours.
Several people I know have been kicked out and can't get back in.
My server's offline, lol. Ugh, still can't log in, squiggly.
Jeez, I got to player selection, even loading the screen, and then it kicked me. Best launch ever. 13/10 would play again.
It's actually gotten worse. Can't get to character screen anymore. Just won't connect for pretty much all the people I'm in Discord
Stuck
with.
on login in screen forever. I've reloaded a bunch of times. Now I'm just waiting and watching this lull.
So for many of us, the launch just went fine. For many others, though, not so much. And it's really important to not just pull back and try to speak and generalize, but to also understand where each of these experiencers are coming from, and at the same time understand the futility of trying to speak for all of them at once. But ultimately, like I said earlier, I'm left with the opinion that largely This has been a successful launch. It is incredibly unfortunate that it turns out some of the largest realms in Warcraft just couldn't stay up. They just melted or something happened. On top of that, authentication servers were once again brought to their knees in the onslaught of the millions or the tens, depending on how cynical you are, that were all trying to log in. The noise around these issues was quite palpable and quite cringeworthy if you're the type to keep track of Twitter. Like seriously, it was bad. I'd get into it, but this would be a very long weekly then. The point is though that despite the experiences that players have had over the past couple days, they don't negate each other and, mix together to create this experience. That's almost like saying that your voice doesn't matter because someone else had a different experience than you did, and that's not true. So this is something that as a streamer and a content creator, I definitely understand. Having a bad first experience makes for, obviously a very bad impression. It lasts. I mean, there are very few people that are going to go on to Blizzard CS to be like, oh my god, it was such a great expansion. Yay, Blizzard, you guys are so great. No, we don't have time to do that because we're busy trying to freaking level up. Meanwhile, those of us who can't get in are just feeding into that negativity, being like, oh, that mother, they can get in and I can't. They're just, there are bad feelings to be had. Being here on day one of a WoW expansion, or any first day or first iteration of anything, sometimes being first in line doesn't pay off. So maybe it's not worth the risk. Which brings me back to you folks here now on Friday who had just bought the expansion, are going through the Battle for Lordaeron scenario and just getting their feet wet in Kul Tiras or Zandalar. Because now we're getting the majority coming in. This is it, day one, people. The flood is coming. And for those of you who are going to have war mode on,
it's time for breakfast.
Moving right along, and as you can kind of tell, I've for the most part broken down any semblance of organization. I'm just going to jump into, how do things feel now? What is it like in the frontier of these two continents? And what really, for me at least, it sums up to a battle for attention. I see this expansion as chasing squirrels. Every time I want to do something, a quest, a world quest, some sort of objective, there are so many other things in the way, like more quests, a rare, a treasure, someone from the opposite faction for me to beat up. Battle for Azeroth feels overwhelming, and again, this is my opinion because I'm gonna get hit in the head for this one, but I'm glad that there is certain kinds of gating going on with regards to the rep gating on the war campaign, for example. If I knew that that was going to be something that I had to take care of, if I knew that I could keep farming endlessly for Azerite gear to make sure that I fit the meta for myself and I kept farming for that stuff endlessly, I would totally burn myself out. There's a certain art to the pacing of an MMO like WoW that just can't be summed up in a banal word like time gating. There's also, of course, the idea of front-loading a bit too much at once. So without knowing this off the top of my head, I do wonder to myself that between all these different rares that exist in these two continents, are all of them up at once? And I believe that they are. I think it would have been a little bit better. This is a feedback thing, by the way. I think it would have been a little bit better if these rares just kind of rotated a little bit. Like if there were like 2, maybe 3 sets of combinations of rares that are made available, kind of similar to how things work over on Argus. By not seeing every squirrel on the ground at once, I don't feel overwhelmed to feel compelled to be like, okay, I know that guy's not going to go anywhere, but he's right there, I might as well get him. I think a slightly cooler feeling would be like, okay, I see that rare on my minimap, now I got to make a choice. Do I go for him now? Because that rare might go away and I might not see it for like the next couple of hours or so. So that's kind of what I'm getting at with controlling the pacing of the content that we digest, regardless of our playstyle or how much time we put into the game every day or every week. But I will sum up my gameplay impressions very simply. This is fun. Oh my god, I'm having a hell of a time. I seriously, I was supposed to even do this recording early, but I caught myself around 8 o'clock Pacific. I was like, oh my god, World Quest just refreshed. I finally have stuff to do again. So I did half of all the World Quests that popped up before I realized to myself, I gotta stop. I have work to do. It's got me super excited. It's exceeded my expectations, even coming from someone like me who's been covering this for the past almost a year now. The lasting impression that I have, though, obviously will come with the final cinematics that come from both the Horde and Alliance campaigns. These cinematics aren't exactly related to the war itself, but more the narrative of what's going on, like the internal politics of what's happening in Kulturas and Zandalar. And I love the contrast between them. The cinematography is incredible. This is coming from someone who's non-technical, but the way that Bwonsamdi plays himself off as this whimsical thing, even though he's the Loa of freaking death, it makes him likable, which I think we haven't quite seen yet in Warcraft. The possibility of a kind of likable villain. The Horde cinematics were mostly about making a good first impression. We have new characters with the Zendalari trolls and the cinematic debut of Bwonsamdi. Blizzard knew that the interactions would be key to selling on the personalities of these characters in such a short time, and I think they did. Meanwhile, Blizzard had to work with a very long-lived character in Jaina Proudmoore. Even adding to that, during the cinematics we look into Jaina's past, her past mistakes or regrets, the burdens that she's held for all these years, and we as players who have played through all of these things were going along for the ride. So while the Horde cinematics were about making good first impressions, the Alliance cinematics were about wrapping up well over 10 years of existing story. It's something that in hindsight I wish we could have gotten to see with Garrosh Hellscream, to see his built up from like a depressed chieftain of a barely surviving people, all the way up to War Chief of the Horde, all the way up to his ultimate downfall. Going back to Jaina though, it was just a beautiful wrap up, and this is coming from someone who hasn't played through 100% of the campaigns, but I played through most of it, and just kind of, you know, taking everything in together, like I can see the years and years of effort that Blizzard has put into this expansion, and I am incredibly impressed. It's not perfect. There are flaws, there are little story hiccups, there are questions to be asked that have yet to be answered, and things that I would have liked to have seen addressed that have not. But right now, that's not very important. This is week 1 of the Battle for Azeroth, and we're going to get more next week, not exactly in-game, but in the form of the Warbringers cinematic. I'm not going to speculate, but it's only a matter of time until we start hearing about patch 8.1. And as long as Blizzard doesn't do something like the whole Broken Shore quest line that took, you know, however many weeks, as long as they don't do something like that, I think that all of Battle for Azeroth will be a treat to look forward to each and every time. So I better wrap up because I want to clean all this stuff up and get out of here and then get back to playing. Sorry, world quests are calling to me, seriously. So I do very much hope that all of you are able to get into the game at this point. This expansion is a ton of fun so far, and I can't wait for you to join me, whether it's in the comments or in my community or on like the Twitch streams or anything like that. So stick around, subscribe, like this video, support the channel so I can keep giving you more of this and all things Warcraft. We'll see you next week for some more fun, violence, and shenanigans. But until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.